Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
My name's Georgia. I was the speech pathologist who spoke with your mother, Jane. We had a lovely chat last week and I made a few observations. Is now a good time for me to tell you how she did?
Yep, absolutely.
When you asked us to speak with your mother, did you have any prior concerns about her speech or language at all?
No, actually, I was more just curious. She's getting older, and I just wanted to be sure that there was nothing we've missed.
Okay, well, that's great. It was a pleasure talking to Jane, and we actually found there to be no major concerns. In terms of her language, we were very impressed. She's a fantastic conversationalist, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yes, she loves to chat.
Mm. Throughout the conversation with Jane, we noticed she has a broad English vocabulary. However, at times we did find that she struggled to find the English words and ended up saying a few of her words in Maltese.
Yes, this sometimes happens with mom. We ended up finishing her sentence every so often.
Mm.
Do you think we should be concerned about this?
It's actually very normal for people with English as a second language to have some trouble remembering words they don't use often, especially because she still speaks a lot of Maltese at home with your dad. So it's expected that she'll have some troubles every so often. Did you find that she tends to get stuck on the same word?
Not really. Once we tell her the English word, she just kind of remembers it.
Oh, well, that's great. We did find that her memory was very impressive for her age of 73. She was able to recount stories from years ago. And she talked about her spirituality studies, which she reads a lot from books. And having that daily reading is definitely beneficial to her health and probably explains her great memory. Um, she also, we noticed that she had great social skills. Her eye contact, her hand gestures, her facial expressions were all great. Yeah.
Yes, mom's always been a very expressive talker, that's for sure.
Yes. And she even told us about how she loves to use her phone to message you all. And often we find with our elderly clients that they struggle with these modes of communication. So it was really great to hear that she's so confident. This is a fantastic way for her to keep up her literary skills. So I really recommend that you keep it up.
Perfect. Well, I'll definitely make sure to reply to all her messages in that case. I was also wondering if, as a speech pathologist, if you could understand her clearly despite her Maltese accent. I know I'm very used to it, but I've always been curious how it sounds to someone listening to her the first time.
That's a great question. We found Jane quite easy to understand, actually. Of course, her accent is quite prominent, but generally her speech was really good. The only speech issue we found is that her TH sounds often come out as a T. So with words like birthday or think, she might say birthday or tink. But this is acceptable since English is a second language, so it's of no concern to us as speech pathologists.
Okay, that's good to know. Was there anything else you noticed?
So another thing we listen for is her fluency, and what we mean by this is how smooth her talking is. Apart from the odd word where she got stuck on, like we spoke about earlier, she was very smooth and had no signs of stuttering.
Yep, that makes sense. So her fluency is basically perfect.
That's exactly right. Also, during our chat, we listened for the quality of Jane's voice. We found that she didn't have much strain or roughness and that her voice was very clear, which is great. The only minor concern we had was that it's slightly breathy.
What do you mean by breathy?
Well, breathy is about there being extra air escaping. It's kind of like a whisper. It sounds a bit like this. Um, but it also does contribute to her voice being a little bit soft as well. At this stage, I wouldn't say her breathiness is something to worry about, but it's definitely worth monitoring if you can.
Yep, thanks for pointing that out. I've never noticed it actually. I'll definitely keep an eye out.
Yeah, one last thing we observed was her swallowing. So when Jane was snacking on some of the biscuits and her cup of coffee, we did find that her chewing and her swallowing of liquids and foods was completely fine, which is great. And overall, we generally found no major problems in any of the areas we looked at. Do you have any questions for me?
No, that was super comprehensive. Thanks so much for your time.
No worries. It was great to meet you. If you do have any concerns, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thanks, Georgia.
All right, see you later. Have a good day.